Generational healing. It begins with the children. Hello, my beautiful friends. Today is going to be a little bit of a different video than my traditional, basically, astrology work. We are working with astrology, but I'm beginning a series on generational healing that will be covering each of the generations. I wanted to say thanks to Doreen Trees 6000. She sent me in the comments a question if I could cover the spiritual life of young children in light of the astrology of the new era. And this is the Aquarian age that she's referencing. She's an early childhood educator as well, and recognized that from one of my previous videos that was my experience. And since I've been an astrologer since 1985, I was in the middle of my early childhood education experience, and as owner of Children's Garden in Colorado, it was quite an interesting time, but I'll get into that in a bit. I just wanted to make sure I acknowledged her and thank you. And for those of you who are new, my name is Catherine Bachman. I am a professional astrologer and a psychotherapist of many, many years. I blend my skills and I try to interpret the energies so that I can speak English. There are many students of astrology that it could be a bit of a challenge to get a sense of where I'm getting my information if you're interested. Basically, my goal is to provide this information to those of you who don't know astrology and would kind of glaze over at the thought of, oh no, do we have to sit through the charts? I welcome my subscribed viewers, and for those of you that are new, please subscribe. It's free. Click the like button, hit the bell, and please leave comments. Let me know where you are in the world. I mean, it's fascinating. I was military brat and traveled in the world, and so I have traveled in the world myself and really enjoy getting to know people from around the world as well. So welcome. And like I said, please leave comments and I will answer them all. One more thank you. Thank you to those of you who have donated to the channel. It really is helpful for me. Okay, so the astrology of generational healing. It begins with the children. Before you click off, this is not necessarily a parent education video. This is also, even if you have children or don't have children or are youngers and not married or, interested in children, this video is going to describe the child within you. It's going to help you to get in touch with your own inner child. As I present the information, I will be speaking directly to the inner children, male, female, whatever, to your inner child, because they're the ones that hold the disappointments, the disillusionments, the wounding, the curiosity, the great curiosity. And I think that's the piece that many of us need to tap into, is becoming that carefree, joyful, curious child. I will be speaking to your inner child, so this will be relevant for you as well. I'll start with, I have a vision and have had a vision since I was like 13 of a world where there will be a generation of children who are raised with knowledgeable parents in human development, who will be raised with love, and where the parent is the teacher. Humans are supposed to be the stewards of the earth. And as parents, we are the stewards of our children. They come through us. I love Khalil Gibran's book, and his message for on the children is one of the chapters in his book. I'm not going to quote here. You can look it up. I have it somewhere, but it's still packed in a box. but that children, they come through us as parents. They're not to take on our vision of the world. They're not to take on our unresolved or unmanifested dreams, hopes, goals, and wishes. They are to have their own thoughts and they are to have their own vision. They have, as souls, their own purpose on the planet. We get to have them and to love them and teach them for, a period of time, maybe 18, 20 years, maybe 50, it depends, or more. I mean, it was very helpful for me when I was to read Khalil Gibran's whole book. And it came to me during a period of time when I was going through my divorce with my first husband. It just really helped to soothe me and help me to understand that there is a bigger picture here and why we all come together as humanity. Our children are here to be raised in love. And that is my vision, to have a generation of children who are raised with love and with an understanding of what is developmentally appropriate. We have been such a, particularly the Pluto Capricorn time frame of, I was born in the 50s, and that was the generation of spare the rod, spoil the child perspective. And I had a few debates with ministers who absolutely advocated spanking and, as a method of discipline. And in those debates, I asked them, about their own child. Were you spanked? And of course, yeah, and I'm a minister now. I'm the leader of the church. And I'm going, okay, so do you remember what you were spanked for? Or do you remember who spanked you? So he's going, because what would happen if today in your church you made a mistake as an adult and the parishioners had the right to come up and, spank you or beat you or shame you or any of those things? It didn't go well when I would have these discussions with the ministers. But my point is, spare the rod, spoil the child has been misinterpreted in the past ages and has precipitated a lot of violence against children. I have been called a bleeding heart liberal, and as a human development major, that I'm this bleeding heart liberal, and that's what's wrong with the world. At this point in time, I would tell you that that isn't true. And it wasn't true for me then, and I would push back a bit with it. When we commit to, as humanity, and this is a huge, huge time in our evolution as we enter this Aquarian age, it is a huge time in our evolution to begin to release and heal our own childhoods for those of us who are adults, and to begin to understand how we do everything from a place of love, compassion, forgiveness. And as teachers, we are all students and we are all teachers as long as we're on this planet. And so to begin the process of looking inside and getting to know our own inner child, I had a very angry little girl there because of the challenges in my childhood. I was a colicky sick baby. There is a process. So I'm going to just speak to the first 5 years of life, and then we'll get into the Aquarian age and how does that influence, how does the astrology, influence our children, our birth and all of that. How does that have anything to do with our personalities or our, life, map of the world, our perspective of the world? But in that first 5 years, we do develop our map of the world. The events, how we're treated or not treated, what happens to us as babies, from babies to 5 years of age, is well known in human development as what develops our perspective of the world. And is that world safe? Is it loving? Is it supportive? Is it violent? Is it abusive? There are so many varying degrees of what can happen in our childhood. There can be when we're born, when a mother gives birth, there could be complications and problems for that mother, and she has to stay in the hospital. There can be health issues and complications for the baby, and they have to stay in the hospital, and it's like there's a separation from parents and they're in a great deal of pain. And what is not known in human development is why a certain percentage of babies make a decision in that infancy, in those first few months, that their needs are not going to be met by this parent. And they develop a rage within. So they become the babies who scream. And, it's a parent's job to figure out, is there a physical health issue going on? What needs to happen here? And we're not trained. We're not taught. We are not taught about our babies. We have an idolized vision of what's going to happen when that baby is born. And so, health issues of the mother or the baby can create a break in bonding. And if that happens, we now know what to do to help heal it very quickly. And it's called holding time. And it's where the mother will hold the baby close to her heart, comfort the baby, not trigger her own rage. We're many generations of challenges in the early childhood environment or violence to children. And so there is a way to deal with attachment disorder or break-in bonding. This needs to be part of human development education. And I really, it's like we all have ideas of, and projections of vision or a dream of this new little bundle of joy who comes in. It's not quite a bundle of joy. But so reality hits fairly quickly, and there can be great disappointments. It could be triggering of your own issues, childhood issues, and that sort of thing. So what I know to be true in human psychology is if we haven't gotten in touch with our own inner child and done healing work, that we can project our own issues onto our children. And those kids then have to try to heal that later on. This is such a critical time in human development to be getting in touch with now, as we're moving into the Aquarian age. Pluto in Aquarius is absolutely going to be a period of time where we are balancing male female energies within us, that it is about power returning back to the people, the truth returning to the people. There's so much of who we are and how we are and all of our systems and our rules and our regulations and all this stuff that have been created in order to really control us, to keep us, under, a small group of people, their thumb, and to control us and manage us. So as we move into this new age, it's critical that we learn about our own inner child issues, and which you can do psychotherapy. There's lots of ways you can get in touch with that. But we also, before we have children, and this is another reason it takes the village, because there are elders like me who do understand human development, who have studied this their whole lives, that can be of support. So whether it's in our families, whether it's just general teaching, this is really a huge, huge, huge issue if we are wanting to become a race or a collective humanity that is moving into a new age of light and love and support. I'm going to do more on this particular issue of generational healing, and it begins with our children. I will do a second segment on that. I kind of want to just prepare that, with some of the basics that we're going to start out with. And then we'll go into each of the generations. I want to speak to how is Pluto and Aquarius going to impact these babies being born in, the next 20 years? How is Pluto in Capricorn? How did Pluto Capricorn impact the babies born during that 15-year period of time? How did Pluto in Sag impact those children, et cetera, et cetera? I want to go back all the way back to the Pluto Leo generation, which is some of us are still on the planet. If the goal is that we facilitate healing within ourselves, and then we learn about what are developmentally appropriate practices for each year, each age and stage for a child. And if we as a society embrace those new practices and beliefs and apply them to children, and we have our parents and grandparents and aunts and uncles and cousins who also participate in that, we will finally have a generation of people who operate from a place of love, compassion, forgiveness, inclusion, and support. This can also happen in, the snap of the finger, which I can't do anymore, or a flash of light would be another way to do it. It is part of the ascension energies that we are going through. This is the time where we leave the violence, the abuse, those kinds of things, we leave them behind and we come together as collectives. And that may be just a family, that may be small communities, and create this new world. I wanted to really step back into and define what would babies who are born, from starting in 2023, I think we had a month or two in 2023 of Pluto just stepping into Aquarius. In 24, most of the year he was in Aquarius. And then this is the 2025 is the first full year of babies born in Aquarius. Aquarian energy, how would that impact a baby? It has been my personal experience, having raised lots of children, having done birth charts for many, many children, grandchildren. Even in my childcare center, I was, getting birth information and looking at charts, studying how this energy impacts. So how do the planets, it's like, how do they impact us? How is it that with Pluto and Aquarius and Saturn and these other signs, but we're just going to stick with Pluto and Aquarius. Those energies are about humanity coming together, humanity reclaiming their power. So these are very, very strong children coming in. This is also very fast-paced energy. It's been kind of a belief system in astrology and in human development, for those of us in human development, that with each of the ages, it's like starting in the Pluto Scorpio age, that those children actually have seen the grid around the earth, the energy grid around the earth, and have been communicating as children. Now, they may not all remember it, but they have been communicating with each other intuitively. Pluto in Aquarius says these children are absolutely connected, and they will be connected to the galactics. They will not be afraid. They will be guided by the ETs, the guardian angels, and there is nothing that is happening here that they're not going to tap into. They will also, the energies of these children are going to absolutely bring in a brilliance and a knowing, new concepts that we can't even imagine at this time. They will be the new educators. They will be the new scientists. They will be the ones who can come in, like the generation before them, Pluto Capricorn children will be restructuring. They will be very focused on healing the earth. Pluto Aquarians are going to be very much about the galactics and interstellar travel, space travel, intuitions, working with souls in other galaxies. I mean, it's like that's their adult energies. As babies, they're going to be fiercely independent. And they aren't going to fit in the baby mold. It's like they need to do their own thing, intensely curious, intensely creative. They are miniature computers almost. And this is not about the technology implants that are being proposed. That's really a very dark energy that is being proposed at this time by the Elon Musk, the tech bros, to implant chips in us, and either for control and or I mean, who knows what those chips will contain. This is the dystopian, distorted side of Pluto Aquarius energy. These children will be naturally inclined to communicate with our ET brothers and sisters and to be able to bring that knowledge and wisdom back to the planet to help with the transition, to heal the planet, to be able to work with others, to help form new communities, to help bring new technology, and how do we feed ourselves in a transition period. It's unlimited. The Aquarian energy is so advanced, it's really hard to put words to it for this astrologer because we can't even imagine what the world is going to look like by the time these children become adults and are like in the 2030s. They will bring in the new golden age. And so between 2030 and 50 is when we will have made that transition into the golden age and this new future. What we're doing right now is critical. And is it going to be the tech bros dystopian, or is it going to be, and there are dark energies here. There are dark ETs. For the most part, we are protected by ETs because what's going on with us, the wars and what have you, all of those energetic things are actually hurting the cosmos. They're hurting, those energies flow outward from us. So they truly need for us to step into the new Kali Yuga, the end of the Kali Yuga of, darkness and violence, and move into this new Kali Yuga that would be of love, compassion, forgiveness, peace, and everyone uplifted, everyone thriving. These are not utopian. We're told we're being, we're like dreamers and we're being, this is ridiculous. It's not possible. It's always been this way. I've heard that. I can't tell you how many times. It hasn't always been this way. It is part of Earth's cycle in our incredibly vast universe. And so our little minds are not to the place yet. We haven't been reintegrated or reactivated to be able to have a sense, to grasp what our universe, our cosmos has to offer. This is a very big topic that I'm trying to bring back down to the children. And what I know to be true about these children is they absolutely are going to require our love and attention and nurturance and acceptance. Aquarian energy is also, it's like there's a balance between male, female within everyone. It's almost like we become independent, autonomous in who we become. And it's like very cosmic subject. I did want to speak to this thing that we were taught in psychotherapy training, and I had never really fully researched it. I have heard it many, many, many times. But the reason it is so important for us to touch and nurture and hold and care for our children, our babies, is because of this. There was an experiment with a French orphanage. One of the kings or leaders supposedly ordered the nuns to not to provide for basic needs of food and changing diapers and that sort of thing, bathing, just their basic needs, but not to talk to them, not to offer them nurturance, not to hold them, not to comfort them. Within a few months before they could stop the experiment, all 50 babies died. As I did my research on this one, I found out it's probably not based in fact. It actually was a rumor that then became inclusive. But I would say that there are many of us on the planet who, in our childhoods, were, the philosophy back in particularly the 50s was spare the rod, spoil the child. Don't pick them up if they're crying. There was even those who would spank you to sleep, and which what was not known is that those babies became failure to thrive babies because they learned, very, very early, they were colicky or they were, they had pain going on somewhere in their bodies. And instead of attending to that, because this was the philosophy back in that time, it kind of went along with the whole thing of women are to be seen and not heard, and the same thing with children, particularly in the southern part. But I think it's very much patriarchal. It doesn't matter where you lived. These were the attitudes back at that time. So there's tons of healing that needs to happen for those of us that are adults. And this is something I personally have been working on since my grandmother and I took a walk, and I'm questioning what's going on when I was 13 years old. If we can step into responsibility, and part of this is, if you're not struggling to keep a roof over your head or for survival on any level, and there's a lot of that happening now in this country. So for those of us who are not struggling in that way, there's an opportunity for us to be in service to help others so that they can move into some sense of security. But part of the transition for all of us is to get in touch with our own inner child, to really begin a dialogue, to become the best friend for our inner little boy or little girl, and to check in on a regular basis, to tap into, their curiosity, to ask for that to come back. For those of us who have been kind of world weary, in survival mode for so long. It's important. It's important for us to take time to do this, as important as it is for us to understand human development. Our Aquarian babies are going to blow our minds, and that's from Aries through Pisces. They each come in with their own soul mandate to be a part of not just the transformation, but to be the generation that joins the galactic family. I would tell you, as that human development major and observing my own children and grandchildren, that the birth chart, the moment of birth, wherever the planets are at that time, and the geometry, the trines, the sextiles, the inconjuncts, the geometry of where everything is, does define that child's soul path in this lifetime. They are to, operate from the highs and the lows of these energies so that they can come to higher learning. And so they can come back to love, so they can come back to compassion, so they can complete karma. The birth chart is a lifetime roadmap, and it will go with us for our whole lifetime. As I've been studying it for myself since the 80s, and had my socks blown off with my first reading with a Gail Matulowicz Culver in Colorado, who was a social worker and with a master's in, I think, a master's in social work, but she was an amazing teacher. She absolutely spoke to all of the developmental processes and working with ourselves and with others and helping to heal, to know, to understand, and to be able to come to mastery. I'm going to cut this off now. Well, I appreciate your listening. I will be doing more specific for each generation so that we can have a sense of who we are and why we've come in. And, and just to really embrace that this process is about the whole village, that every one of us has something that we are here to do. If we're alive and kicking on the planet at this time, that we have something we are here to heal, to come to mastery, that we have a piece in the transformation, the elevation of humanity. Blessings to all of you. Be kind and gentle to yourself, and go out and have some good fun. I will be having this particular generational healing video will be the second video that will come out each week. I will have an astrological overview video that launches on Friday, and hopefully we can get this launched by Tuesday, Wednesday. And we may have to adjust that scheduling as we move forward. I hope this was helpful. If it was, please, subscribe, share this video. I can't imagine anyone on the planet who couldn't benefit from understanding, how it all fits together. So blessings to all of you. I love you, and we'll see you soon.